The people in the press box had a large rope which they hoped would help stop him before he crashed into a steel pole in direct line of his flight path.
Right, because the wire's got to go somewhere.
Hey, if you're a fan of Rush, this video is for you. We're going to do something really interesting and different today that we haven't done before. I've got this crazy, amazing story about Rush that I discovered that I'd never heard before, and I'm guessing a lot of people have never heard this before, and I'm going to share it with you. But real quick, just by way of introduction, this is Shelle Crow, who's joining us today. She's an author, and she's a friend of ours, and we asked her to come join us on a couple shows. She's kind of a superstar and super smart, and has interesting insights on this stuff. Well, it's not just, it's also interesting insights on music because you listen to weird stuff.
I do.
And so it seemed like perfect that we needed to get you in here on some of these, to be a part of some of these discussions we have. So anyway, thanks for being here today.
Yeah.
This is going to be fun. Okay, so what I've got here.
And I'm Gary.
Oh, and this is whatever. Everybody knows.
Hi, Gary.
Hey, what's up?
Nice to meet you.
Okay. All right. So Rush.
And just for the record, for those of you watching, we have no prep.
They don't know anything.
He's been like hyping this up, like, "Oh, I'm going to share this with you, and I want your reaction."
They have no idea.
I have no idea.
Yeah,
I have
and
no
I'd
idea.
never heard this before. Okay.
Okay.
So right now I'm on. You can see it right there. I'm on Rush.com. I'm looking at their website, and here's the Permanent Waves tour. And what we're about to talk about is right there, August 24th, 1979, Hamilton, Ontario, Ivor Wynne Stadium. Okay. So this newspaper article is on this day, August 24th, 1979. Okay, check this out. So I looked this up, thought, okay, here's an article about the Permanent Waves tour. So I start reading this. Now listen to this. Okay, the title is The Rush is On Tonight. And here's what I started reading.
So this paper's coming out the day of the show.
The day of the show.
Okay.
Now, this show is like this amazing thing in Rush history, and I don't know how many people and there's probably people like, duh, I know about this, but I didn't know anything about this. Okay. And I think it's super interesting. Now listen to this. Top Canadian rock group Rush performs tonight at Ivor Wynne Stadium in the first concert at the site since the controversial Pink Floyd concert in 1975. And I immediately go, controversial Pink Floyd concert at Ivor Wynne Stadium in 1975. Okay, I don't know what exactly. This is where I go, what is this? Okay, check this out. All right, so now, but local promoter Jim Scarrett isn't expecting any problems similar to those of the Pink Floyd Fiasco. With reserved seating only and ticket sales limited to 15,000 people, he only has his fingers crossed for weather. Okay, so now I'm like,
Sounds
what?
Like there's going to be a problem.
What's going on, right? So this is 1979, and they're saying that there was a Pink Floyd fiasco at Ivor Wynne Stadium in 1975. So exactly, I'm like,
4 years before.
What the heck is going on? So then I find this little article now, the June 30th, 1975, St. Catharines, Ontario, Canada, The Standard, and I find this little article. Now check this out.
This is about the Pink Floyd
This is about
fiasco.
So this is about the Pink Floyd fiasco. This is so great, man. 50,000 rock fans jam into stadium. Hamilton. Despite protests by Hamilton residents, a concert featuring British rock band Pink Floyd saw 50,000 persons pack Ivor Wynne Stadium on Saturday. And the action did not end with the concert. About 45 minutes after it was finished, an explosion blew out sections of the scoreboard, broke many windows in the area, and sent 2 electricians to the hospital overnight. Police are investigating. A police spokesman said that early in the week, the Hamilton Wentworth Police Commission tried unsuccessfully to have the concert moved outside the city, and complaints by residents were still coming in after the show was over. He said the crowd began lining up 4 hours before the concert started at 8 p.m. Now, I found other articles. 4 hours is not a big deal.
That's not a big deal.
No, I found other articles where they're talking about the night before.
Oh, are you
like
serious?
People were there.
Camping out 24 hours
Yeah,
before.
because apparently part of this concert was general admission. So you like the field part.
Oh, gotcha.
Okay, but I want to
gotcha.
know, so they're limiting it to 15,000 5 years later.
Yeah.
They're saying 50,000.
This is
how
this
many
is why.
people,
Yeah, this is
how many
so
people can
just
fit
check
in
this
that
out.
stadium?
You'll start hearing about
I was
all
about
this.
to
It's
grab
crazy.
my phone. That's where my mind was going.
Yeah.
It's like, what's the seating
This is
capacity?
awesome. This is awesome. Okay, 4 hours before the concert started at 8 p.m., and many began drinking early when they learned they would be frisked upon entry. So they're going into the concert already.
That's typical.
Nice.
Okay. I mean, yes, it is typical, but it's just part of the
If
overall
I'm being
scene.
frisked, you got to be drunk.
Yeah. They took care of it outside in the parking lot. Once inside, amid the roar of the band's $150,000 sound system, the crowd cheered. One man ran naked around the playing field, and 150 persons were treated for drug or alcohol abuse. Pink Floyd, famous for its use of audio-visual effects, launched a spacecraft suspended from a wire and projected slides and films on a tilted circular screen 20 feet across. Robert Martin, Toronto Globe and Mail critic, said the band was not impressive, and the group members projected all the stage presence of mashed potatoes. Okay, that's the end of that article. So anyway, so now I'm going back and I'm like finding all the what the heck. Okay, now check this out. Now here's another article about the Pink Floyd concert. All right, never again, vows concert booster Edge, and we're gonna hear this guy's name again. Remember the name Edge?
Yeah, not to be confused with
U2,
The Edge
not the Edge
from U2, right?
So remember
Different
the name Edge. So never again vows concert booster Edge. This is from the Spectator, Monday, June 30th, 1975. Okay, check this out. This is so funny. This is so funny. Okay. This is again in response to the Pink Floyd Fiasco. There will never be another rock concert at Ivor Wynne Stadium, Alderman Ken Edge, chairman of the Parks and Recreation Committee, vowed yesterday. And then it goes, encore stopped. The creme de la creme of stunts at the Pink Floyd concert was aborted seconds before it was to take place. As Pink Floyd played, preparations for a stupendous encore were being made in the stadium press box. The plan was that a person dressed as Batman would fly across the stadium to the stage as fireworks and smoke bombs went off for a noisy and colorful finale. But Inspector Doug Larson of the Vice section noticed the would-be flyer getting changed into long underwear. The youth put on white pants, a white shirt with Batman across the chest, and a black cowl hat. A harness was strapped to him, and then varying sizes of foam rubber was tied to his body. A black cape was the final touch. Inspector Larson learned that Batman had pulley wheels attached to the harness. His accomplices were to place him on the wire, and he would become the main attraction for a few flying seconds.
it was like ziplining
There,
in 1975.
dude.
There's so many things wrong with that right now, and I don't even know what happened.
This is 75. Okay. There was one flaw in the act, though. Once he got started on his trip, there was no safe way to stop Batman.
No.
That's
The
where I
people
was
in the
going.
press box had a large rope attached to the flyer, which they hoped would help stop him before he crashed into a steel pole in direct line of his flight path.
Right, because the wire's got to go somewhere.
He's attached to something down there, and he's
Zipping down
So
there.
they have a rope tied to him so they can
they're
kind
hoping to be able to slow him down.
But who's holding? And how long is
the,
that? Who's holding
This
that?
is the genius going on in 1975 at a Pink Floyd concert. This is okay. Now,
But this is part of the promotion?
Maybe
Like,
they expected
this is
people
part of the
to grab
show.
onto
Like
it.
this is like some big thing they're doing as part of the show. This is so amazing. There was no way we were going to condone that kind of thing. It was too easy for someone to get killed, said Inspector Larson.
Oh, thank you, Inspector
He was
Larson.
covered in foam.
What could possibly go wrong? The organizer immediately called to the production manager and told him of the police objection. The stunt was immediately canceled. As Batman got undressed, the organizer told Mr. Larson, "We didn't really want to do it anyway. He's our friend. We didn't want him to get killed."
They were unsure about it. They're like,
I don't know,
we hope
man.
it goes
I
well.
don't know." I mean, you know.
Be a stunt devil. Something might happen.
Just a couple more paragraphs here, then I'm going to jump into the rest of this, and it's so cool. So Mr. Edge, remember this guy, went to the Pink Floyd concert Saturday night along with other members of the committee, which approved the British rock group's visit to the stadium. Although some members voted against it individually, Mr. Edge was one who championed the cause of outdoor concerts and even remained impressed right up to Saturday night. Now, however, he has changed his mind. The people around here are upset, and they have a right to be. It's a shame that some of the kids had to spoil it for the rest. It's so funny. When was the last time that ever worked? Have you ever heard that? Why is it that some couple people, all of you kids had to spoil it for everybody else? Has that ever changed anybody ever? Anyway, whatever. I've heard that so many times.
That's a passage in time, right?
Yeah.
That's a rite of passage.
So I'm not going to read you the rest of the article, but you can see a picture there of what the scene was like in the city and why everybody got upset. Like the garbage and the people had been out on the streets and the mayhem and the broken things.
Citizens are upset.
So now, fast forward.
Yeah.
Fast forward to 1979, which
4
is
years
now
later.
Which is, according to the Rush website, remember this? August 24th, 1979. So fast forward to April 20th of 1979, 4 months before supposedly Rush is now scheduled to play the same place for the first time a rock concert since the Pink Floyd fiasco.
Okay.
So now, The Spectator, Friday, April 20th, 1979. Here's the headline. Rush may be on for stadium. Here we go. After the 1975 Pink Floyd concert fiasco in Ivor Stadium, Alderman Ken Edge, remember him,
Yes,
vowed there would never be another rock concert in the stadium. After yesterday's Parks and Recreation Committee meeting, Mr. Edge may have to eat his words this summer if the Canadian rock group Rush performs at Ivor Wynne. Hang on just a second, this will be really quick. With hundreds of videos on our channel now, we've made playlists to make it easy for you to find whatever the thing is that you're interested in. We have a playlist with all of our Rush videos, Kiss, Led Zeppelin, Van Halen. We have categories like 80s metal and even our popular magazine flip-throughs, where we go through page by page with Circus Magazine, Hit Parader, and others, all in 4K resolution. You'll find it all organized and ready to explore. Just click the playlist tab on our channel's homepage. All right, back to the video. Now this is so great.
Well, and they have to because they're Canadian, so
well,
can't
check
turn
this
them
out.
down.
No, when you hear this story, especially if you like Rush, this story gets so cool. Okay, so just hang tight. This is great.
Right.
Trust me.
I was looking up Ivor Wynne Stadium.
It's not. Apparently, it's not there anymore.
Capacity?
I was just looking at
I think it gets into this in a minute.
Okay.
I think I pulled up the articles where it talks about it. So yeah. I think you'll see it in a minute. Okay, so check this out. Let's see here. The committee voted yesterday to allow Scarrett Promotions to bring Rush to Ivor Wynne for 1 or 2 days during the last week of July or first week of August. Subject to Jim Scarrett and his partner Larry Russell, formerly blah, 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 providing satisfactory answers to questions posed by certain committee members. Now check this out. The only committee member who voted against the concert was Ward 3 Alderman Brian Hinckley, in whose ward the stadium stands. So he's like, no. We did this in 75. No. We said, Mr. Edge said we're not doing this anymore. Okay, now check this out. Mr. Hinckley said the committee's policies specify no rock concerts should be held at the stadium. Mr. Hinckley, who admitted he'd never heard of Rush, also wants to know what type of music the group plays and what crowd they cater to.
If it's Lawrence Welk, we're good.
Yes, exactly.
You know?
So now get this. This is so great. Mr. Scarrett and Mr. Russell asked the committee not to penalize them for the problems of June 28, 1975 Pink Floyd concert, at which 55,000 tickets were sold for 35,000 seats.
It's 20,000 extra.
Which was on the ground.
Well, they sold
which would have
them?
been in the open,
Yeah,
right?
on the grass
so you have
field.
35,000 seats in the stadium, and then you got 20,000 people that got to do something.
We got to fill the floor.
Yeah, this is where Pink Floyd fiasco comes from. Okay, now check it out. Now they're so afraid of this whole thing. They said Rush tickets will be sold in advance on a reserved seat basis. Only the south stands, 15,500 seats will be used. No seats will be sold on the playing field. So see what they did? They're like, okay. No more people on the ground, and we're shutting the entire stadium down except for this part right here. And you sit there, and as long as everybody's nice, okay.
Everybody just get along.
Can we just please? Okay. Let's see here. Blah, blah, blah. Only the South stands 55 will be used. No seats. Okay. Mr. Scarrett said the members of Rush who are personal friends of his have given up. Check this out. This is so great. Have given up a much larger booking at the Canadian National Exhibition to play Hamilton just to help Mr. Scarrett prove his point that rock concerts can be held at the stadium without the problems. Quote, I don't want the recurrence of the Pink Floyd fiasco any more than you do. I live and work in Hamilton and I care about the city. I've done 200 to 300 shows here, so I wouldn't do anything to ruin my reputation in the community. And then, let's see here. And then they posted a $1 million insurance bond. Okay? Now, all right, so now we're going back
in 1979. That's a lot of money.
That is a lot for that.
Then on, let's see here, July 25th of 1979. Now we're about a month out.
Okay, I'm impressed with your deep dive skills.
From this Rush concert.
Yeah.
Okay, check it out. Now we're 1 month out from the concert. July 25th, 1979. And the headline is, Everything is Go, says Rush backers. The mayor's signature appears to be the only item still needed for next month's Rush concert at Ivor Wynne Stadium.
They have to get a signature from the mayor.
Yeah.
They've got to everybody's got to sign off on this thing before they're going to let this happen.
Liability.
Yeah. So this could, yeah. And they don't want the Pink Floyd fiasco. Okay, let's see here. Larry Russell, one of the promoters, said all the conditions set by the council for May and the concert have been met. The mayor still has to sign the contract, but other than that, we have met our deadline and provided everything we had to do. Everything's a go from our end. Council's initial approval, blah, 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 blah. Mayor Jack McDonald is out of the city and not expected back till Friday. Okay. The next thing that we know is that, so now we're going to go.
He's gone during the event, too.
Probably.
He's like, I'm taking vacation. That
I don't want,
concert.
I mean, so you see what's going on here. So now let's go back to the original article. Okay.
You gave us the backstory.
Now you got all the backstory. So now we're going back to the day of the concert. Okay?
That morning.
Yeah.
That morning's paper.
To Rush's concert.
To the Rush's concert.
Okay.
Now we're going back to August 24th, 1979. Remember, on Rush's website, right there, August 24th, 1979, Hamilton, Ontario, Ivor Wynne Stadium. We're going back to that day now. And we're going to go back to where I first derailed and went off to the Pink Floyd news. Okay.
The rabbit hole that was the Pink Floyd
the
fiasco.
Pink Floyd rabbit hole.
I'm following you. Hope you guys are too.
Yeah. Okay, here we go. Let's see here. 15,000 people only for the weather. Everything's as smooth as you could ask for. We're right on schedule. Some has even gone ahead of schedule. We're expecting no problems at all. I expect the show to start right on time, said Scarrett. For Hamilton rock fans, a successful concert could mean the opportunity for more large-scale concerts in the city in future. And, of course, it's a chance to see the phenomenal Rush on home turf. Rush, a heavy rock trio from Toronto, has become one of the biggest Canadian success stories in rock, with their first recorded effort being released in 1974. They've taken the rock market by storm with landmark albums like Caress of Steel, 2112, A Farewell to Kings, and most recently, Hemispheres. Now, this is an interesting thing because they were on the Permanent Waves tour months before Permanent Waves came out. So the last one that's out is still just Hemispheres at that point. So just by the way. Okay, whatever. Then they give this little background of Rush, which we'll just do real quick just because it's kind of interesting to read the stuff. Bar band. Stunning live performances, sold-out concert tours, Juno Awards, huge album sales, and an international following mark their rise from mediocre bar band in the early 70s to their stature today as a truly unique and productive recording and performing act. The three members of Rush, Geddy Lee, Alex Lifeson, Neil Peart, recently completed an extremely successful European tour, 4 sold-out nights at the Hammersmith Odeon in London, and then all these other places. In keeping with their rigorous touring schedule, Rush is in the midst of a summer tour of the U.S. and Canada, including their stop in Hamilton tonight. Rush's record company, Anthem, states the present concert tour is different from recent shows in that the lights will have evolved one more step, and the set of will be a compilation of their best material plus tunes from their forthcoming album. Let's see, the upcoming album, expected to be released in January of next year, will also mark a new step for Rush, masters of the concept album with science fiction and fantasy themes and noted for their epic lengths. It has been reported that the new album will not be a concept one, will feature shorter songs of about 10 to 5 minutes in length, short for Rush, that is. By the way, this album was a big deal for them because it was kind of a a shift towards actually having some songs that were a little more
Radio friendly.
Radio friendly. Yeah, exactly. Okay. It'll also be the first album since 2112, their fourth to be recorded in Canada. They've recorded the recent albums in England, but this time they'll be using less studio and more in Heights, Quebec, with mixing done in Trident Studio in London. Aside from the Hamilton date with opening act Streetheart. You ever heard of Streetheart?
Nope.
No. Me neither. Okay. Rush will be performing in Toronto on September 2nd at Varsity Stadium. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, here we go. About 10,000 tickets have been sold for tonight's performance, which begins at 7 p.m. And promoter Scarrett reports there will be tickets available for purchase prior to the show, but not at the stadium box office. He said tickets will be available at all Sam's stores in Hamilton at 6 p.m. and at the Dairy Queen at Lottridge and Barton Streets from 5 until 8 p.m. Ticket prices, $8, $10, and $12.
That's awesome. With the blizzard.
Yeah, I had to walk out of there with my tickets and my blizzard that I can put upside down with the spoon hanging out
They
of
chose
it.
ice cream, not a bar. You can't buy these at a bar. You got to get them at the ice cream shop.
Okay.
There you go.
Now,
'Cause I was going to talk about Dairy Queen at one point was quitting their cherry dipped, and I could go off on that because I just about lost my mind because that's like my favorite. You know, cherry dipped cone.
what is that? Are you talking about the one you dip it and then it's crunchy?
It's cherry dipped cone, man.
I've only had chocolate
The chocolate
dipped.
dip. Yeah.
They do cherry dipped?
Dude, where you guys been?
I don't know where I've been. Do you know about cherry dipped?
No, I only do the chocolate.
Oh, dude, cherry dip's the bomb. And then they tried to replace it with like caramel one or butterscotch or something, and then they had like birthday cake or some sort of cake to replace. And it was going to be a rotational flavor. Cherry dip's
Dude,
trying to
talk
keep it
about a
clean.
fiasco.
Yes, it's the Dairy Queen fiasco. Yeah. All right, don't get me going. I can go down that rabbit hole plenty.
Yeah, we got fiascos all over the
$8,
place.
$10, or $12 tickets.
So here we go. Concert happens.
All right,
And now everybody's wondering,
how'd it go?
how did it go?
I know everybody's on the edge of their seats.
Are they
man.
going to now have more concerts at Ivor Wynne Stadium?
And how many tickets did they sell? Did
Okay.
they get all 15,000?
Here we go. All of these answers. So now here we go. Hamilton Spectator, August 25th, 1979. This is day after concert.
All right.
We wake up.
From the
Wonder
show?
what happened at that show. And here we go. And here we have a picture of the band. You can see the guys right there. And it says underneath, Rush in action, guitarist Alex Lifeson, bassist, vocalist Geddy Lee, and drummer Neil Peart. Crowd's gold star behavior subdues Rush's thunder. This is so interesting now.
So what? Everybody just kind of. I don't
Check
know how to read that.
this out. This is so great. It's good and bad. I mean, okay, anyway, here we go. It's hard to imagine an audience of over 10,000 strong doing anything in coordination, but they did at the Rush concert at Ivor Wynne Stadium last night. There seemed to be an overriding consciousness guiding the huge crowd of young people who came out to hear the rock band perform. They knew that the concert just had to come off smoothly for there ever to be a chance of another one. And except for a few minor instances, their behavior reflected that.
Oh, man.
Oh, so they were like quiet.
Everyone's sitting there.
No rambunctiousness.
It's like everything fun about a rock concert. Don't have fun. Hey!
Don't smile.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So here we go.
Don't sing that song.
Here we go. But while the calm and restrained atmosphere made for easier breathing for promoters and security staff, it didn't do much for the music. Rush performed for almost 2 hours with material culled from their vast album repertoire, along with some new compositions from their upcoming album, but they never really seemed to break through the subdued atmosphere.
It was like a dud.
At times, large sections of the...
Look, can you imagine
It's
being
so
up there
funny.
playing and everybody's just
It's
still?
like, dude,
you know?
sit down.
Don't ruin this for us, man. One
few
beer. We're
people
cutting you
ruin it
off.
for everybody.
One beer only.
Yeah.
Cutting you off.
Okay, let's see here. At times, large sections of the crowd were up on their feet, and an encore was enthusiastically demanded. But generally, it just didn't feel like people were really rocking.
Oh.
Streetheart kicked things off early in the evening, but Rush didn't appear on stage until after dark. The three musicians, bassist, vocalist Geddy Lee, guitarist Alex Lifeson, and drummer Neil Peart, opened their performance with material from their fourth and much acclaimed album, 2112. They followed with samplings from all their recorded works with songs like By Tora and the Snow Dog, The Trees, which is, by the way, an awesome song. I love The Trees. Love The Trees.
Keep it down over there.
Shut up. Exactly.
Shut up. Keep it down.
Closer to the Heart, great song. Working Man, Hemispheres, and numerous others. Most of Rush's material has a driving, heavy rock bass colored with progressive elements. Lyrically, the content of their music deals with fantasy and science fiction themes, creating mystical worlds, characters, and situations. All of that was there last night, while a powerful lighting system enhanced the effect, and intriguing slides and film clips were flashed on the screen at the back of the stage. But there was also evidence of a more aggressive, reality-oriented Rush, both in some of the older material they had chosen to perform and in the new material they debuted. The audience had the chance to hear some of the songs that will be included in Rush's next album, expected to be released early next year, and it was released in the following January. It is rumored that the new album will not be a concept one like all of Rush's recent releases have been, and songs like Freewill and Spirit of Radio were interesting and well-received samplings of the new material. By the way, if you saw them on this tour and you heard those songs for the first time on this tour, we need to hear about it. Down in the comments.
I want to hear from the people who went to the Pink Floyd.
No, that's true. That's true. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so here we go.
That was good.
One of the group's better-known tunes was saved for the end of the show. Ironically, when they began In the Mood, the crowd really seemed to be starting to get into the mood. They stood up and clapped along with the band, cheered through the drum solo by Peart, and demanded a return when the group left the stage. While last night's concert at Ivor Wynne may not have been as energetic and dynamic as it could have been, it was well organized and an orderly one. And it does mean the chances are good for more concerts on the site, which would be a boon to the rock scene in Hamilton.
Yay.
And then here's our happily ever after little note at the bottom of another newspaper. And it says it's the final note. And it says this is the Hamilton Spectre, August 28th. So this is would have been just a few more days after that, like 3 days later. Last Friday's Rush concert at Ivor Wynne Stadium provided the important final note to what had begun as a major controversy. Fortunately, all went well. The evening showed that the stadium can indeed be more than just a football den. It proved that more use could be made of the Ivor Wynne facility. And they all lived happily ever after. Is that interesting?
Oh, man.
Like I said, I found that first article, and then I read Pink Floyd Fiasco, and I go, okay, I got to know what happened. Isn't that crazy? So in 1975, Fiasco, and then Rush goes out of their way, literally goes out of their way, saying, hey, we will come do this show if for no other reason to help bring more shows to this place.
I want to know how they felt about it. Not having that energy feeding off the crowd. Like, even though they did that good thing.
The band.
Like, the band,
Rush.
Yeah. Like, when they got off the stage, was it like,
but they
they feel great?
I would think
or
that
were
they
they like, we gave them everything and
well, I'm thinking like they probably knew what they were getting into. And to some degree, it's like, okay, we're playing this place and everybody's chill, but they're probably on their best behavior. We're just going to give them a great show, and we're paving the path for bands behind us by not having all the crazy people from the Pink Floyd Fiasco come out.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's how I would look at it. I mean, they probably were like, yeah, okay, and it's in our backyard. But maybe they were like, what the hell? You know? Dude, we brought this show to you guys. Put your hands together. Give me some noise.
at least give us a wave.
Yeah. Is anybody out there? Is this mic on? Like, what? You know? Like, what's going on? That's what... Seriously. That's... I guess you could see it both ways, but I would love to hear, Geddy Lee's, take on... Yeah, what happened? What do you think about the Ivor Wynne Stadium show in 1979? It'd be great to get his points in. Should call him.
Yeah. Well, it's cool. It's just so cool to go on their website and it's just listed. It's just in this list, and you don't realize that behind that little entry in this spreadsheet, there's this whole like big story that happened behind this one thing.
I'm impressed with your sleuthing. You know, Sherlock Holmes.
Because I don't have anything else to
Sherlock
do.
Holmes.
I have nothing else to do, so I sit and read old newspapers.
I want to know more about Pink Floyd's other, like, is this a common thing? And this was just this particular city didn't like, you know,
No, but I think,
the Rascals?
Think about, like, you hear about in the 70s was part of, and you guys that were out there that are older than us that were attending these shows, part of this, the shows got to be more mega. Like, my wife grew up in Twin Falls, Idaho, and when Evel Knievel was doing the jump,
Yeah. Yes.
I'm not even kidding. You know, this is a true story. Like, the town was super tiny. It's super tiny now, by my comparison, right? And not, you know, but back then, those people can tell you that knowing that the jump was going to happen, and again, same time frame in the 70s, that all these people just showed up in vans and camping and drinking and just partying for Evel to cross the canyon. Is he gonna live and all that? And dude, it was on national television. Like, he was a big deal.
Dude, I remember.
But that's what I'm saying. But the
I was an
decadence,
Evel Knievel fan.
right, the
when I was this
decadence that went along with that for the town, still. I mean, there's still some of that
Still
permeates.
recovering.
Yeah, because people were like, "Oh no, dude, they like trashed the fields," and people were just, "There's no bathrooms." I mean, think about Woodstock.
Yeah.
And
Well, that's
tearing
what I'm
up.
thinking. They should have expected that. You know, this
You know.
look at the band you got. Look at the crowd that they attract.
You
Like,
would think, but I think in the 70s you didn't have like the foresight to some of these places. Like, okay, hey, we're gonna have a rock concert. How, you know, boys will be boys and play, and you know, people will get wild and crazy. But how wild and crazy? Well, again, the needle was moving in a direction that people couldn't predict. Batman getting hooked on a wire? What the hell? Like, that was crazy.
Yeah.
You know?
they're pushing the boundaries of music in
Right.
all ways.
There you go. And I think the era had like a bunch of stuff that, you know, you think about Rolling Stones and the riots or whatever happened in San Francisco where the crowds went
Altamont.
crazy. Yeah.
Ultimate thing, yeah.
You know, and
Because they had the Hells
the
Angels
Hells
that were
Angels
doing-
became the security or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a crazy story. But the fallout from those kinds of events, I think, is why we have some of the security that we have today. I mean, going around. But I mean, I think as most early things happen, people are unprepared. Like, you're going to tell me the Hamilton people were like, okay, Pink Floyd's coming. This will be great. Let's sell out 20. We'll put 30,000 on the stands, 20,000 on the floor. What could go wrong? Right? You're thinking it's fine. But I think that's the part where communities, I mean, come on, you got a mayor signing off. Like, what business does that guy have in being like, is that safe? That sounds
Yeah.
good. We're making money, right? Good.
Right.
I mean, that's kind of, I think, how, and let's not kid ourselves. We're old enough to kind of know in that generation, things were a lot looser. I mean, another great story, it's more sports related, is the Cleveland Indians baseball team, now the Cleveland Guardians, had a $3 beer night in the 70s. What could go wrong?
What could go wrong?
A lot went wrong. Let me tell you. I mean, let's just say the river was on fire that night. I am not even kidding. There's an ESPN special on that. You guys can go look it up. And this is the kind of stuff that I remember. But yeah, I mean, you're doing cool promotions, but what could go wrong? You know, I'm just saying. Dude, that's kind of impressive, but I would love to hear, like you said, Geddy Lee's or the band's response, how it was. How many more shows did the concert or the venue hold?
And they may have talked about this. Like I said, this was new to me, and I wouldn't be surprised if there's a bunch of Rush fans, because Rush fans, I mean, Rush is one of those bands where it's not unusual to find a guy that's seen them 80 times.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, that they really know their stuff. It was just so I consider myself a Rush fan, but not that.
Well,
You know?
I bet
So-
somebody watching went to that show.
Yeah.
And it'll
Yep.
be like, dude, that show was like, whoa.
And then-
Are we at a
and you
show?
know-
like,
Where are we?
Yeah.
at?
And you know, as far as bands that are going to be chaotic, that are going to bring that in, Rush is one of those that won't
Yeah.
necessarily.
Right. Yeah.
It's a
dude,
lot
I wouldn't
more,
even think Pink Floyd would have been.
that kind of surprised me too, except for the, well, yeah.
I don't
It-
know.
it
but
is-
if you're like,
Eh,
if you're partaking and having a good time, you know, if you're ending up naked running around on the field, you're having a good time. What could go wrong?
Have you ever seen anything like that? You go to a lot of, you
naked-
go to a lot
somebody
of, you go
naked
to a
running
lot,
around on a
not,
field
well,
in
not that
concert?
necessarily,
No.
but maybe.
I didn't see that.
You go to a lot of crazy shows, like
Oh.
crazy concerts.
I've seen some stuff. Yeah. Yeah. Not like that. I mean, because you've got security, you know,
Yeah,
all
modern
over.
day.
And they take them out fast. So if somebody disrupts, I mean,
yeah.
instantly security comes over and they miss out on the whole night. So you have to, I mean, not
That was
a lot
one of the
happens.
crazy heavy metal concerts that
Yeah.
you go to.
So as soon as something happens, anybody in it is kicked out.
Well, this, to your point, Gary, I mean, this was a different time.
It was a different
And-
look. We went to we spent what, $6 to see Ted Nugent at the Salt Palace,
Yep.
and that
Oh,
had
I remember that.
open floor,
Yeah.
right? We bought the tickets, but nobody was on the floor. We're like, nobody's here.
This was like, this
Wait,
was
what
actually, this was
concert
like
are you going to that's
80,
$5?
87 or something like
It was
that.
1987.
Okay, okay.
We went down, and then we jumped the thing, and we got into general admission. We're like, nobody's down there, and nobody's sitting up here.
That was just a couple of
But
you.
then by the time you guys came back out, because I didn't join you.
No, you
but
did not.
everybody, a lot of people went down there. You came back. You guys came back sweaty
Oh my
and
gosh,
bruised and
we
bloody.
Were like, like I had like my shirt, my denim jacket, and it was so gross because I sweat through my clothes, and I don't know if it was
remember
all
this.
mine and somebody
Probably not.
else's. Like, but we were like getting pushed and crushed up towards the front because it was like people just want to have fun, and it wasn't even that wild. It was just bodies just packed, and probably the AC didn't work or something stupid because it was hot. And that I remember. And I remember, okay, I'm about to pass out. Not due to anything other than I think I'm dehydrated because it was literally like crazy. And I remember going back towards the end or after the show. You're like, dude, what's up with you?
Dude, gross.
Oh, they've even changed that now. They have every time a new band comes on, they're passing water from the
Yep,
front.
yep.
Everybody's
Yeah,
passing
everybody-
the water back.
Everybody's so careful now.
Yes, it's a different time.
different world.
That's what we're saying. I mean,
Yeah.
1970s, how awesome. And I definitely want to hear about anybody
Yeah.
that experienced anything like this or the
Yeah.
Pink Floyd.
If you know anything more about this story, if you went to that Pink Floyd show, if you went to that Rush show, if you had any other experience like this, we want to hear them.
Or had
So-
an article or heard something from the band about the show.
Yeah, exactly. Because this was, like I said, this was new.
Or
to me.
you were
I'd
the
never
guy
heard this
running
before.
naked on the field.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
who was the guy?
Yeah, if you
That's
were
who we
that
want to
guy.
hear from. Hey, again, thank you for taking the time to watch this video. Thank you, Shelley, for being with us.
Yeah,
Real
absolutely.
quick,
Thank you so
we've
much.
got just about a minute
And
left. here.
Heinrich for calling us out
Yeah,
on
Henrik
the bass.
is he's
the man
now
behind in the chair.
producing the show now. And real quick, we got about a minute. You got a book out. You want to tell us about it real
I
quick?
have 3 books out. Yeah, they're all on relationships, so different places in the relationship. If you just broke up with somebody and you're pain and heartbreak, I've got one called Still the Pain. If you're looking for your partner, I've got one called The Soulmate Frequency. And then communicating with men, what your mother should have taught you but didn't know either. That's my favorite one.
That's awesome. I love that title. Anyway, all available on Amazon.
They're on Amazon.
Shelle Crow.
Or on the website.
SHELLE.
That's right.
That's how you spell your name.
Shelle Crow.
Right on. So
Nice.
Thanks for being here. It was
Thanks.
awesome. Appreciate it. And thank you for watching, and have yourself a fantastic day.